holidays are the perfect time to do magic with a greeting card. Okay, so you have a balled up paper napkin, you hand this to someone, you say very gently hold on to that, okay? Very carefully hold on to that. I'm going to give you a choice here, okay? On the greeting card here, I've got some lights. They're a total of 6 lights. I got red, yellow, blue, gold, green, and purple. Name a number from 1 to 6, and let's say they say 3, and you go, okay, 1, 2, 3. Third one, blue, right? You have them open up their hand, and the only thing inside, in the napkin they held from the very beginning, is a blue Christmas bulb. You say, hold on, because the holidays are more magical than that. Take out a deck of cards, have the cards shuffle. Okay, they can shuffle the cards totally. Go through the cards, have someone say stop whenever they want. They say stop, they look at a card. They keep it in mind, okay? You say, great, so you're thinking of one of these cards. They say, yes, they are. You say, look, I'm going to try to use the holiday greeting card to find your card. And you take the greeting card, and you take the deck of cards, and you put the deck of cards inside the greeting card, and just give it a shake. And just like that, only one card remains trapped inside the greeting card. The card they had in mind. Say, look, we'll take it one step further even. You say, look, I'm going to take the greeting card, I'm going to tear a small corner off the greeting card. Okay, they can see you fairly do this. So I'm going to place the corner inside the card. They slowly close the greeting card over the piece. You show your hands absolutely empty. Put this between someone's hands, say hold on tight, and squeeze, squeeze. They do. Then you say open your hands. When they open their hands, they find impossibly the corner that you visibly just tore off the corner of the greeting card has fused. They can feel it. There's not even a lip, an impression. The actual corner has fused, so it's now fused into the fibers of the greeting card. And of course, everything can be examined. If you're familiar at all with my work, you know I am obsessed with doing magic, cool, unforgettable, powerful magic with the most ordinary found objects around. I love doing magic with ordinary objects. So I thought, for the Christmas holidays, around Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever time of year or whatever holidays you celebrate, starting in November, certainly November, December, there's so many different kinds of holidays, magic with a greeting card makes perfect sense. So you can have this on a magnet on your fridge at home, and just sort of casually, people are in your house over the holidays, whatever, you can casually show them a little bit of magic with a greeting card. You can have this at the office, sitting up on your desk, propped up there, ready to go, okay? You can have it even at school, in your locker you can have it. So, I mean, a greeting card is the perfect sort of found or organic object to do magic with. I'm going to show you a bunch of different things you can do with this, but let's take a look at the prop itself first, okay? So you get this really what looks like, and what I like about this, and I designed it, is it's what I'd call non-language, which means if you're English or you're French or you're German or Japanese or whatever your language is, this isn't printed with an English word on it, so it's truly an international magic prop. You got the 6 lights on one side and this very cool pre-printed torn corner on the inside. Now, I'm going to teach you the 6-force. Maybe you're familiar with it, but I've been exploring different applications with the 6-force for many years. And this pre-torn corner thing, I actually came up with it many, many years ago. It's in some of my early books. I did it with a dollar bill, and then Richard Sanders and I did it also with a dollar bill, a pre-torn corner idea in When Creators Collide. I've also done it with playing cards. A torn corner was used, and I changed places actually using this pre-torn corner one ahead thing in my book, on my DVD, Underground Jam. So I've been playing around with it for about 20 years, a long time. And here's another application of this, that I actually manufactured something similar to this about 5 or 6 years ago, where a torn corner of a playing card was printed on the side of a cigarette lighter. And sort of did a cool trick with that. So here's another application of it anyway, and this is, I thought, was such an organic, perfect application. Now, first we've got the 6-force. If you're not familiar with this, this is a strangely convincing force. I don't use the 6-force to close my show with. I don't think it's strong enough to do that, okay? So I'm not going to tell you it's the most convincing force in the world. But I've used it in many places to bring a little bit of magic, or in this case, an opening trick, okay? Sometimes I'll use it to embellish, to take an already good trick to another level as well. But the 6 force works like this. You got 6 items. You want to force the blue. That's the one you're going to force because, of course, you've got the Christmas bulb. And this you can hand to somebody in their hand without a napkin. Say, no peeking, okay? I'm going to give that to you, and I don't want you to take a look at it. It'll affect your choice, okay? Or you can hand it, let's say you're going to do something for a husband. Say, I'm going to have your wife hold your hand, and I'm going to let her hold on to this. So the wife holds on to it, holds the husband's hand, and the husband's the one who says from 1 to 6. So you can have this in a paper napkin. You can ball it up in a $10 bill, a bit of a holiday bet. Everybody could use a few extra bucks for buying gifts. This is my bet here. Very gentle. There's something very fragile inside. You can have it inside your card case. So there's a few different ways you can present this, this first phase with this holiday card. Now, you want to give them a choice of 1 to 6. Now notice too, I designed this so you do not have to use the ending with the torn corner, okay? So for now I'm just going to teach these isolated, but of course when I performed all 3 of these tricks for you, I did include it with the setup with the torn corner, but we'll get back to that in a moment, all right? So you've got a greeting card, open it up, boom, one of these 6, going to give them a choice. If they say 1, well, you go, great. We're gonna. I say name a number between 1 and 6, and they say 1. You say, well, how's your spelling? And they look at you like, what does that matter? You say, you know, my spelling's pretty good. I just want to check. Okay, how do you spell 1? You'd spell it the same way I do, right? And they say O-N-E. You go, great. O-N-E. That brings us to the blue one. If they say 2, same thing. You say 2. Okay, how's your spelling? And they go, pretty good. It's T-W-O. Okay, so T-W-O brings us to the blue. If they say 3, you go 1, 2, 3. If they say 4, you say number 4. You're sure that's the one you want? They say yes. You go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if they say 5, you go, this is actually a spelling trick. How's your spelling? And they say good. You go, okay, 5. It's F-I-V-E, bringing you back to blue, bringing you back to the blue again. And finally, if they say 6, guess what you say? This is actually a spelling trick. Of course, 6 is S-I-X, and you go S-I-X 6. So whether you're counting 1, 2, 3 or the 4 or spelling, you're always going to force the blue one. Now you can apply, I think, unless I'm crazy, you apply all these same things as IX, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think, yeah, you can apply it all to the gold as well, okay? But I just find the blue seems to, because it's more from left to right, sort of the way I'm oriented, at least, the way people are. So that's the 6 force. With any 6 objects, you can count to it. And of course, you are, as they say, you are only limited by your imagination when it comes to how you want to incorporate the blue. You could also make this appear too, right? For example, one thing you could do is, and I think there's some real magic in this, is you could count to the blue and not even introduce this initially. What you could say to somebody is say, let's try something. Do you have a coin? And they say, I do have a coin. Say, take the coin out. Great. You say, look, we're also going to use this holiday card here. Name a number between 1 and 6, and they say 3, and you go 1, 2, 3, 3. Blue, the blue bulb. And you take the coin, I'm going to use a torn corner here, but you take their coin, okay? You just give it a squeeze, and you change it into the blue bulb. So you can make the blue bulb magically appear, combining both a prediction trick of sorts with an appearance, right? So you can literally just have it, you know, you can have it palmed in your hand, sort of show your hand empty, and as you pass over, drop it from thumb palm into the other hand here as you wave your hand and make the one color they freely chose appear out of nowhere, right? Kind of cool, a bulb. You could do the same thing with, like I said, with their coin, boom, and their coin. So there you've essentially combined an appearance or even a transformation with the 6 force. So lots of different things you can do with that, whether with a borrowed coin or whether wrap it up in a paper napkin or anything, okay? Now, the second trick I did was the old sandwich effect, okay, where basically what you have is 2 cards, okay? You put a card on top and you put a card on bottom, okay? And when you toss both cards, when you toss the deck out from between them, sort of magically, a card appears between the 2 cards, and it is the selected or the thought of card. Now, this is a very old technique, and all you're doing is holding the bottom card, okay? I'll get back to that in just a second. Let me show you what I did in my performance with you. You can have a card selected, of course, but I did a peek, or I had them peek at a card. I went through, they called stop, let them see a card, kept a little pinky break, right? And then as I spread out the cards and sort of said, so you could be thinking of any card, I culled the card. And if you're relatively new to card magic, what that is as I spread through, here's the exposed view, okay? Is with my right fingers, I slid their card to my right, then pushed the rest of the cards, and then pushed their card to the bottom of the deck. In performance, let me angle it here for the camera. Let's say we're dealing with the 9 of diamonds here, okay? I've got a little break below the 9 after they peek at it, okay? And I can spread out the card and say, okay, so you're thinking of one of these cards, aren't you? And they say, yes, they are. And just like that, I've been able to secretly control their card to the bottom using a cull technique. But you could just as easily have the card peeked, ace of diamonds here, okay? Keep a break and double undercut, give the cards 2 cuts, bringing the gap to the bottom and the selection to the bottom, okay? Whatever technique works best for you and that you feel comfortable. One of the most important things in all magic performance is you being comfortable. Only when you're comfortable and feel relaxed can you be the performer you really want to be. That's key. So don't get caught up in using the most clever or the most complicated techniques. Just use something that feels right for you, all right? So now that I've got it on the bottom, I've got the greeting card here, and all I do is I take the deck and I put it inside the greeting card, okay? So it's going right inside the greeting card there. They don't know their bottom card is, the bottom card is actually theirs. And then I make sure that the tips of my left fingers, the tips, are pressed against the face of the ace. So on top, I've got no grip on them. They're gonna slide right out. What that means is with the squeeze, every card in the pack is gonna come flying out of the folded card, except for the one on the bottom with my fingertips on it, okay? Like this, and then like that. It looks really magical, particularly if they think that their card, that they're just thinking of a card, in a sense, and it's somewhere in the middle. How did you even find the card, let alone get it to magically stay inside the greeting card, right? So that was the second trick I did for you guys. Now, we're coming to the last trick. Now, this is the torn corner part, and for this, what I've done here, and I encourage you to do this, because I think a blank greeting card is not suspicious. Okay, there's nothing suspicious about a greeting card with nothing written on the inside. Okay, nothing suspicious. But if you actually have, if it's actually got some writing on the inside, in this case says, "Dear Jay, thanks for all the magic," etc., from a corporate client, or supposedly I set this up. If there's some writing on the inside of the card, then I think it looks even less suspicious. Now, to prepare if you want to. So notice you could do the greeting card just the way it is, okay? Unprepared. I'm not going to. If you decide you don't want to use the torn corner, notice that both other tricks never once showed this pre-printed part, all right? I was very careful to design these in such a way as that I can start like this, okay? Open it up like this, have you choose 1 to 6, and everything looks just totally like nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever, okay? And I'm never flashing, never showing this. The first trick, 1 to 6, of course, never showed the inside of the card. The second trick, where the card ends up trapped inside the playing card, or trapped inside the folded card, again, never shows the inside. So you have that choice. I also, if you go back and watch my first performance, you'll see I performed the first 2 tricks. Not only did I not show the inside, but I made sure the torn corner was covered the entire time for the first 2 tricks, all right? Because I did have the torn corner. Now let me show you the preparation. So if you're going to use the torn corner, which is a perfect closer, I mean, it's so in the hands and shocking and impossible, they see you do it. I mean, it's a really convincing handling that, again, I came up with many years ago. If you're going to go that route, what I encourage you to do for sure is to write a note to yourself, you know, happy holidays, whatever. Write it out entirely before you tear off the corner, okay? I just think that let me see, make sure you're getting that. Yeah, I think that's a really convincing, really adds a lot to it, that the writing, obviously, when I tore the card, I tore through the writing. Okay, I think that adds a lot. So you write it out. Now this, I designed this so that this is 1 inch by 1 inch. Okay, the tear itself is pretty random, okay, but it's 1 inch across and 1. So when you get your card, all right, and you want to make that tear in the card, make a little pencil dot here at the 1 inch and a little pencil dot down there at the 1 inch. 1 inch by 1 inch, and then tear off the corner, all right? Which is what I did here. So that's all set to go. So perform this. And again, this is all you need. My one piece of advice for you, though, would be to be careful while you're handling this. Tilt it slightly this way. Because notice if I tilt it this way, it's possible someone might see something is missing. They won't see the whole torn corner or get ahead of the trick, but you don't want any flashing. So I really encourage you to tilt it away from them throughout the other tricks you're going to do. This is here, okay? I open up like this. And you don't want to do this and this, because if this corner is being held between thumb and finger, and this is all your fingers covering it, it can look suspicious. This is where what I call mirroring, the mirroring technique really helps, where both hands handle the card in a very similar fashion. They mirror each other, they look the same, okay? Even though you don't need all these fingers here, this helps you with that. Now, when I'm performing for real people in the real world, I don't like to cut it too close, okay? So I would never just use just my 2 fingers and the fingertips like that, because I think that's going to be just enough. I'd always handle it with all my fingers like that, okay? Just because I got nothing to prove. I want to just make sure I don't get busted on the trick, right? So you can do the 6/4 here, 1, 2, 3, hiding the corner, right? You can have the card selected and then put the deck inside and toss it and have the 1 card appear inside here, again, without ever revealing this part, okay? Or this part. But if you want to close, having just done those 2 tricks with this, now they're absolutely convinced, of course, that this is clearly, I mean, when you're handling it, they would never realize that you could do those first 2 tricks and never reveal this or this. Right? So now the finish, when you then go into this and say, let me try one last thing, it's going to happen in your hands. I've done enough in my hands. We're going to make magic with this greeting card in your hands. Okay? So when you do this fake tear, okay? And it's just take your time. It's a totally fake tear, but boy, doesn't it look. And I'll often, this little corner here, I'll pull just to get a little bit of a pop sound at the end there to really add to it. They'll swear they see. So this is a beautiful illusion, okay? I've created a bunch of things on it. On YouTube, you'll find a chocolate bar trick I did that people are really enjoying too. So you pretend to tear it off, right? Now, I take the torn corner now, having pretended to tear it off, and I sort of time it so that I don't want them to see this too soon, of course, but I do this as if I just put it down and I'm holding it in place with 1 finger. So here, just like this, and then I don't let them see it for too long. I just close this up and treat it like it's a loose piece inside. Hand that to them to hold on to, or what they can do is hold it between thumb and finger. You get out a lighter, wave it, the fusion, whatever you want to do, okay? Squeeze it like this, and then you open it. What I like to do is really milk this illusion of I open it like this, or no, sorry, open it like this. It's better to do it this way, actually. Both ways work. Like this, and they're not even sure it's loose yet. And now you tilt it like this. And now they can see, and their first thought is, without a doubt, you've stuck it on. A little bit of spit, something, you pressed it on there, it's stuck on there. And then when they take a look at that, and they can see it's actually perfectly fused into the card, your hands are empty, it is an absolutely perfect and very memorable holiday miracle.